Hi, this is Shara from HeartForge Solutions. This video is about the perfect I-cord tool, our 3-hook version. So you've probably seen other I-cord makers on the market that are multi-hooked. Ours has a lid to protect your work while you are in transit, or if you, like me, are someone who works out of your purse on the move. So I want to show you today how it works, how to make an I-cord on it, and then how to use it for applied I-cord. So our I-cord maker works with up to a worsted down to a fingering weight. I think you could probably get it to work with a bulky, but it would probably take a little bit of patience. I wasn't able to get it to fully work on my own. So to cast on, you'll start with a slip knot. And then I like to take that middle one off. So I only have it on the first and the third, and it's skipping the second. That tends to be true with any of these sorts of devices that are operating with like a hook, whether it's a knitting machine or a cool tool like this. So one thing to keep in mind is that you are going to make sure that you are clearing the latches when you start at the back. So I've pulled my work into these little divots. Then I'm going to wrap from the front to the back. Now, you can wrap the opposite direction. You can go from front to back, or from back to front, or from front to back. Be consistent. I will be going from front to back. So I'm putting some tension on this. I'm hanging onto it with this part of my hand. Then I'm going to pinch the knot and the loop and bring everything over. So we're going to go the first and the second. Now I've got 3 loops on the hooks, so I've got 1 on each hook. I'm going to bring it past the latch hooks, stop, wrap front to back, grab all that stuff in the bottom again, pull down and pull over. All right, one more time, front to back, pull down, pull over. All right, now I've got a bit of a handle, so I'm going to reach for that handle. And I definitely feel like you get into a rhythm as you do it. It's a different rhythm than most of my knitting. You can change the tension on the device, so how hard you pull as you go is going to impact how loose or tight your tension is. You see we've changed tension from the very beginning when I was fairly loose. Now I could go even looser. And so I'm just really not pulling tightly at all. And it really does get pretty rhythmic. So you can see that we have a slightly tighter tension, a bit looser. I could keep playing with this. Generally, once I get a rhythm, I maintain that tension so I can make the whole thing the same. One of the things I love about our cover is that you can just slide it on. There's a bit of a tension fit, and now you can take it with you and it won't damage anything in your knitting bag or your purse. I use a purse as a knitting bag and a knitting bag as a purse, so for me both are very useful. I also want to show you how to use this for an applied I-cord, but before I do that, let me just show you real quick on fingering. I'm not going to restart, but it would be the same process. So, well, let's just say you've run out of yarn and you need to reattach. You can just start by wrapping those around those loops, pulling across, and then again, remember we're going to maintain what we were doing and go from the front to the back. And you can see now I have a much finer I-cord made out of this. If you make a mistake, one of the things I'm really loving about this is that so far whenever I've made a mistake, I've been able to rip it back pretty easily. So I left those in just to keep the place. I'm going to pick up each stitch and put it back on. And then I'm going to gently undo my sock yarn since I didn't actually want that there. Okay, so let's show you how to make an applied I-cord edge. So a lot of times you see these decorative applied I-cord edges on the ends of things. It can be used as a bind off or a cast off. I'm just going to apply some to this hat because it's handy and, you know, easy enough to do. So you're going to start probably with at least a stitch or two. I always get past this yicky bit here. When I'm starting an applied I-cord, I can undo this bit if I need to. So get past the yicky bit. You're going to pick a hook to be casting or putting your stitches on for your applied edge. I'm going to try the bottom hook this time. So I'm going to pick up, that's the front and the back of a stitch. Bring it past the hook. Now again, front to back. So, and now I'm just going to pull everything, including the hat, over. All right, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do a non-applied, just to give it a little bit of room, because I think the tension on this is going to be tighter than the tension on the hat. And then I'm going to pick up another stitch, so the front and the back of the stitch. Wrap it around. Pull it through. One more not applied, and then now we're going to apply again. So we're going to pick up the front of the stitch and the back of the stitch. You could probably pre-prep this if you preferred to, you know, put all the stitches on a knitting needle so that you could just slide them onto the hook when you're ready. This is my unapplied edge, and now we're going to go back to applying the edge, and we're going to pick up this. Oh, I've picked up too many things, so I'm going to slide that back off. I just want to slide into that front, or one side of the stitch and the other, or both legs of the stitch if you want. Alright, so pull that through, do another not connected, and so when I say not connected, I'm talking about the fact that it is not attached directly to the hat. And I'm doing that for gauge reasons. I want to make sure that my I-cord edge isn't actually affecting my hat negatively. So I'm just going to loosen these stitches. I'm going to pop them off so you can see how nicely that is now applied. And because I use that back stitch, that's where the connection stitches are, so the front of the work looks neat and tidy. If I was actually going to do the whole thing, I might actually put an extra stitch, like 2 rows of non-connected stitches, just so that this wouldn't create a really tight edge. So I don't have hard, fast rules about how you do this. I just test it with the yarn and the project a few times and figure out what works for me. I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.